Here's a 5-minute compilation of hilarious headlines from various news media saying everything under the sun is too white. Mount Everest is too white. School marked down by OSFED for being too white. The DNA data we have is too white. The Foreign Service is too white. Too white and male, not for long. Rijksmuseum Board called too white. Our dyslexia heroes are too white. Ghislaine Maxwell says grand jury the indictor was too white. Insurance is too white and male. Norway is too white, according to President of Norwegian Jewish Community. Love Island reality show is too white. Wall Street knows it's too white. Iowa and New Hampshire are to go white to go first. Iowa and New Hampshire are too white to go first. The outdoor industry has too many white dudes. Stanford History event was too white and too male. Too white wine, the industry's diversity problem. FAA faces lawsuit of rejecting applicants for being too white. Congress has decided to stay far too white. BBC presenter suggests England's women's soccer team is too white. 1984 Karate Kid cast was too white. Team GB still too white. Are the sidewalks in Northeastern too white? Fantastic Four. Kevin Feige reportedly feared cast was too white before Pascal. Chelsea Flower show too white and middle class. Bon Appetit magazine says it's been far too white for too long. Too white for comedy? Ted Nugent thinks Pantera and Motorhead covers of his songs are too white. Lesbian media is too white. Is this guy too white to pastor a multicultural church? University of Amsterdam, still too white, too male. Bernie Sanders' campaign was too white. Is the climate movement too white, too posh? English cricket. Gods of Egypt, still too white. NDP, too white. Party President Rebecca Blakey says American TV is too white. The Emmys were too white. Is the GOP too white to win? Are Minnesota Timberwolves too white? The public relations industry is too white. Is the England team too white? California Women's March postponed after concerns it's too white. Is digital crime history too white? Are the Oscars still too white? Disaster management is too white. Is Tom Rivers and New Jersey too white? The study of skin is too white. Romance novels are too white. Is graphic design too white? Linkin Park's Mike Shinoda says Metal Hill felt too white before new metal. Firemen are too male and too white. American Dirt fiasco exposes publishing industries that it's too white. South Africa blocks trade from farms which are too white. Australia's art industry is too white. Sarah's fall may further whiten America's already too white history. The sex industry is too white for my liking. New York schools wonder how white is too white. The running world is still too white. Are Disney films a tad bit too white? The Green Rush is too white. The problem with AI study says it's too white and too male. Canadian Armed Forces are rethinking recruiting. DNC committee says New Hampshire is too white. AP classes are way too white. Is hunting too white? Is craft beer still too white? Too white? Iowa is 91% white. GOP soul searching. Too old? Too white. Too white to solve the climate crisis. Too white to solve the climate crisis. Mulan remake is too white behind the camera. The EU is too white. Journalism is too white. Is Mount Rainier too white? For these women, a fire that burns too male and too white. Architecture schools are too white. Are Sydney Sweeney's blue jeans too white? Church votes on whether quilt is too white to welcome diverse congregation. Is American Sign Language too white? Too white, too male. Fed takes on diversity. Molly Ringwald says her 80s movies were too white. 2024 Olivier Awards remain too white. Was CIA too white to spot 9/11 clues? The Seattle Church of Stained Glass Jesus was far too white. Naropa University is too white. Michigan State Police accused of illegal affirmative action in way too white department. Is the Free the Nipple movement too white? Why oat milk is too white. Election wipeout too old, too white to blokey. Our schools too white? Policy strips staff from schools over 30% white. Too white for refugees. Shakespeare's too white. Chris Sacca rethinks Twitter is way too white. Baseball fans are too old, too white. Are we too male and too white? Australia's media has been too white for so long. Medical studies are too white. Is running too white? TV is too white. Shareholders accuse Chinote board of being too white. Running is too white. It doesn't have to be. Wakatasa School Close STEM programs for being too white. COP26, it's a bit too white. Is children's literature too white? Are our courts too white? Vanderbilt professor says math education is too white. University of Oregon is way too white. Environmental groups too white and middle class. The Philadelphia Phillies are too white. Minnesota Theater canceling too white production of Cinderella. Is the world of fantasy fiction still too white? Star Wars is too white. Our college dance curriculum's too white. Is your movie too white and too male? British children's books are still too white. Professor says Barbie movie is too white for his toddler. Latin high school walkout of protest says school administration is too white. DEI staffer told she was too white for the job. Can British tennis shake off unwanted tag of being too white? Media disparages Argentina soccer champs for being too white. Rural England too white and needs more halal food.